Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is Thursday, December 30th. Hope you guys are having a great day. Lots to talk about today, most notably some very interesting news coming out of Algorand and their growing DeFi protocol. We'll talk about that, as well as the permanent Bitcoin bull, Michael Saylor, purchased some more Bitcoin on this most recent dip. But he's not the only whale that seems to be buying. Are seeing other signs of whale accumulation at these levels as well. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. But before we do, CJ, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well, Monty. So interesting to discuss some of this news today. But MicroStrategy, no surprise. It was interesting, and that I was reading a little bit about like reflexivity last night, just as a refresher, and the concept of Saylor, and like the beauty of that strategy is that you buy Bitcoin for your treasury. Other companies or private investors buy your company because they want exposure to Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin goes up, which then allows you to buy more Bitcoin, which then raises your stock price. And that creates this like reflexive feedback loop that did wonders for his stock price. And we'll see, if Bitcoin goes up, obviously it'll be very successful as well. But you can also imagine the negative like reflexive loop if they were ever in a situation where they were forced to sell. That obviously wouldn't be good, but those are the types of relationships that are quite interesting if you can get in on them very early before they start accelerating.
Yeah, absolutely, CJ. And one thing that I was talking about with some members in the chat last night was the fact that whales like Michael Saylor don't seem to be selling at these levels. Much of the sell pressure that we're seeing on the current market seems to be on the back of short-term holders. So I just wanted to quickly reference this tweet that I saw from Mr. Will Clementi III last night. I posted this in our community as well because I thought it was worth sharing, but I think this is a great point. This is the entity adjusted ASOL. Basically, this tells you the average age of the coins being spent. And when we're having a downtick like this, it means the coins that are being spent are younger and younger. And if you look at when we've seen these instances of younger coins being spent, they're typically during periods of bearish and neutral consolidation before an uptrend. So one thing that is definitely worth noting is that, when we have these major corrections, we typically see old coins start to distribute a little bit and the average age of these coins rise. Right now, that's not what we're seeing. In fact, over the last month since our top here at 69K, we've more or less been seeing the average age of the coins being spent decreasing. So as Will says here, smart money or older, more experienced market participants tend to sell the tops as they did here, and here, not bottoms. The last few weeks, these same older participants are not selling. So just wanted to share this with you guys as kind of a perhaps indication of where some of this sell pressure is coming from. And it just does not seem to be coming from some of the whales and longer term holders like Michael Saylor and other, long term holders. But I'll pass it back to you, CJ.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Bitcoin changes hands throughout like the broader, bigger picture. Because the person who the type of investor to buy Bitcoin at 100K is not looking to get rich quick. They're looking to like preserve their wealth generationally. So interesting stuff. But let's move on to Algorand. They've got those liquidity incentives now coming through. So I'll jump ahead and share my screen. Price action has been pretty nice for Algorand past couple of days, despite the market weakness. And that may be as a result of this, a $3 million liquidity incentive program. So basically, on Algo Fi, they need liquidity and LPs. And in DeFi, anyone can provide liquidity and enable borrowing and lending peer-to-peer. And you're going to get paid for that, and you're going to get paid in Algorand liquidity fees. So in order to participate in that, obviously you have to buy Algo, go on to various exchanges, things like Yieldly or Tinyman, for instance. The DEX is on Algo, but The two projects that were interesting to me were Algo and then HBAR. One, I mean, they both focus on institutional and enterprise solutions, but the one that really has done way better because it has thrived on the retail DeFi use cases has been Algorand. Um, Not to mention, they do a lot of really good infrastructure stuff when it comes to moving Bitcoins around in El Salvador. But that doesn't really do anything for the price of Algo token per se. Nonetheless, Monty, will you be participating in some of this liquidity mining on Algorand?
I think I will, CJ. Like you said, Algorand was showing some signs of positive price action, but now I think this injection of capital is really what it needed. And this was a ambitious injection of capital, but really I think it was a good one. And in their press release here, they talk about how the goal is ambitious but singular. And really, the goal was to raise these three elements that are necessary in any successful DeFi ecosystem, bring them all together all at once, strengthen them all at once, and really just kind of spring pad this DeFi ecosystem to new highs. So the three areas they're focusing on: one, CJ talked about Tiny Man, the DEX. They want to deepen the liquidity in that DEX, offer tighter spreads, offer faster swaps, that sort of thing. Also, a robust bridge for newcomers and migrants that will be Algo Mint. So they are trying to make that more robust as well. And then lastly would be the borrowing and lending architecture, which is AlgoFi. Obviously, a very, very important element of any DeFi ecosystem. But yeah, this was a very, very interesting news. Obviously, had a strong impact on price, but I think that this really was kind of just a initial catalyst for some positive price action. I think that in the coming weeks here and into the new year, when we start to see people, actually start to borrow and lend, start to stake some of their capital in AlgoFi, I think we could see some continuation of positive price action. And CJ, we've talked a lot about how we see this relationship between total value locked in these various ecosystems and then their subsequent price action. I think now going forward, that will be a very interesting metric to watch for Algo. How many people are participating in this DeFi ecosystem? How much capital is being locked away in the new year in order to earn some of those liquidity incentives? I think if we watch those numbers and we see some healthy results, that tells us that we could perhaps see some very positive price action for Algo when we kick off 2021. So exciting stuff there. I will be participating in AlgoFi. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I've already been messing around a little bit on Yieldly. But yeah, that's the beautiful thing about crypto. There are certain instances where they'll, this is kind of really unprecedented in history where they'll actually pay people to just participate and do those particular things. But, going into the new year here, the things that I think are worth looking for and thinking about are like, what are the themes going to be of this next month or these next 3-month periods? Before, we've seen it was the higher cap L1s like Luna, AVAX, Solana. And that same premise could continue. But overall, I would be thinking of those relationships going into the next year and what kind of characteristics could lead to things like chain reactions and stuff like that. Because that's the things in crypto that can really create a lot of opportunity for you. And you see these things like not a lot of people know back in the old days when they first launched Dogecoin, there was this other coin that came out right after it called Kitty that also pumped. Very similar to how, Sheeb followed Dogecoin kind of. And then you have that relationship where, everybody, made when the food coins started going parabolic in DeFi summer of 2022, you had Uniswap take off. And then SushiSwap came on and everyone piled into that one. So it's like, if you make a ton of money in one type of field, it's like, all right, I missed out. What's the next thing? What's the next catalyst? What's the next chain reaction? And I think those are the types of themes you're going to be watching like very closely from a macro perspective as we go into the new year here, because altcoins, although people are bearish on Bitcoin and the chart doesn't look that great, like altcoins still look like they're in a bull market. So I still think there's going to be those opportunities and those things to capture going into the new year. So I'd be optimistic, and I'd try to have a very high attention to detail.
Great point, CJ. I think attention to detail is going to be really important in this new year. And, we are at the end of the year here, and looking back, it's been a revolutionary year for crypto. One thing that was obviously an emerging trend in hindsight was, the uh, growth of these various DeFi ecosystems on layer one protocols besides Ethereum. When we started this year, DeFi basically only existed on Ethereum. Now that's a much different story. Almost half of all DeFi happens on chains, beyond Ethereum. First it was just Binance Smart Chain and Solana, but now we have, AVAX, Luna, Matic, Phantom, and even Algo taking away some of that DeFi market share from ETH. And there were some, signs in hindsight, CJ, that told us that perhaps some of that, capital may look elsewhere. We talked about the ETH rising gas fees. Look back to the month of August and just think about that mania around NFTs. Remember when Visa bought a CryptoPunk for like, a couple $1 million? Everyone and their mother was trying to mint or buy an NFT during that 1 month period. As a result, ETH network congestion skyrocketed, gas fees got incredibly high, retail participation basically became non-existent on Ethereum because of those high gas fees. So traders started to explore alternatives like Solana, like Binance Smart Chain, like AVAX, Luna, Polygon, Matic, Phantom. Those were the big winners in 2021 because of those gas fees, network congestion, all those things that happened on ETH really benefited a lot of other assets as well. So I expect a continued divergence in the DeFi ecosystem in 2022. I expect these various layer one protocols to continue to grow. Retail participation in DeFi continue to be strong here as we enter the new year. So I would just continue to, explore these DeFi ecosystems. I know, CJ's really been stressing just, get your boots on the ground, check out these protocols, just stake a little bit of capital in there, because I really do think that a major theme for the first half of 2022 is going to be retail participation in DeFi. So just something to look out for here as we enter the new calendar year.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Monty. People are always going to be looking for yield, especially as we go into the spring here with a little bit more uncertainty around the Fed. But it seems like we still do have a little bit of runway until that time particularly occurs. But overall, that's all I have today, and just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget, if you'd like to see our trade insights, join our community, full-on education curriculum for trading, crypto, DeFi, and NFTs. You can check out the link in the description below. Also, please hit the like and subscribe button. That does help us very much. But overall, I hope you guys have a wonderful new year, and I'll leave it with you, Monty, for the final word.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a wild year. We really appreciate everything you guys have done for us. It's been a really awesome year, but it's not over yet. CJ and I will be hanging out in the room for the remainder of tonight and tomorrow. So if you guys have any questions about any price action this year or any things to look out for next year, definitely drop by and ask us. Also, cocktail hour will be tonight instead of tomorrow, given that tomorrow is New Year's Eve. So you can catch CJ and I on the cocktail hour tonight at 4 p.m. Central Time. But that's all we got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you again on the cocktail hour. Have a great rest of your day, and